This is the stomach right here. It fits just like this.
Are you sure?
Fits like that. This is the liver that is taken off. So it fits like that. All right, this is the stomach. This is the liver. I'm doing stomach. Let's look at just the stomach. I have a lesser curvature in here, my little curvature, and I have a greater curvature right here. Lesser curvature, greater curvature. There's a little connective tissue in here called the lesser omentum on the lesser curvature, and there's a great big piece of connective tissue right here called the greater omentum. They're not on here, and they're not on your list, I don't think.
Nope.
No? All right, the cardiac sphincter. I got to tell you, I got to be honest with you, it's not a true sphincter. I think I put that in my lecture as well. But the cardiac sphincter is this sphincter muscle right here between that closes the esophagus down. So I don't have gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, heartburn. So that's a cardiac sphincter right there. But it's not a true anatomical sphincter. It's only a functional sphincter. It does close it down, but it's not a thick band of circular muscle like sphincters are. It's really...
So because when you get GERD, it's going from the stomach to the
esophagus,
right?
Yeah.
But is one going to the heart?
No, it's just called the cardiac sphincter because it's next to the heart.
Oh.
Yeah, it's only called the cardiac sphincter because it's next to the heart. It doesn't.
Okay.
It really doesn't have anything to do with the
Yes,
heart.
it's the sphincter he's calling it.
Yeah, and they call it heartburn because it's burning behind your heart, not because it's burning your heart. It's actually burning your esophagus.
So if it's not actually a true sphincter, how does it... Because I know like with babies can get GERD too, where because their sphincter didn't completely close. So what causes it to
the
close?
circular muscles of the tunica externa, the muscularis externa.
Oh,
There are circular muscles in the muscularis externa.
it's just not a true sphincter because
Right.
it can't.
Right.
Okay.
All right, greater curvature, fundus of the stomach. Right here, and you're going to have this on the uterus later. All right, see how the esophagus enters here? But there's a place of stomach above where the esophagus enters. If I drew a straight line where the esophagus enters, I would draw a line right there. That part of the stomach above my finger is the fundic stomach, or the fundus of the stomach. If you open it up, you can see that the esophagus enters here, and all of this up here is the fundic stomach. The rest of this right here is called the body of the stomach. But then I have the pyloric stomach down here, the antrum and the pylorus, and that's going to go into the duodenum. But let me go in order. Any questions about the fundus?
Is that where they reattach it for bypass?
I don't know where they reattach it for bypass. I don't know what they do. Surgically, I don't know what they do. I'm sorry, I don't know. I should know that.
Oh, I was just curious.
On the serosa, there's 4 layers, there's 4 tunics to all of the alimentary canal. The outer layer is called the serosa. The next layer, and I'll show you histologically, is called the muscularis externa. And then there's a submucosa and a mucosa. But the word I want to show you is right here. This is the serosa. The serosa is really the same thing as the visceroperitoneum. Do you remember putting your fist into a balloon in Bio 203? And the part of the balloon touching your fist was the visceral membrane, and the part of the balloon not touching your fist was the parietal? Well, this serosa is really the same thing as the visceral peritoneum. Same darn thing. The serosa is the visceral
So
peritoneum.
that means it doesn't only go over the stomach,
It goes over small intestines and liver, and yeah, it goes over all of it. But this is the serosa of the stomach. Yeah. All right. Now, there's 2 muscle layers in most of our alimentary canal. That's one of the tunics. It's the muscularis externa. All right? But the stomach has 3. The esophagus has 2. The small intestine has 2. The large intestine has 2. But the stomach has 3. This layer of muscles right here is called the muscularis externa. This is the longitudinal layer. It's going long ways down the stomach, longitudinal. This is the circular layer. It's going circular around the stomach, and that's the middle layer. And the deepest layer right here is the oblique layer. The oblique layer is unique to the stomach. The small intestine and large intestine doesn't have an oblique muscle layer. Just the stomach. The rest of your alimentary canal has 2 layers, circular and longitudinal. So longitudinal, circular, oblique. Longitudinal, circular, oblique. Okay? Rugae. I have folds inside my stomach. Matter of fact, I have folds throughout my digestive tract, but they're called different things depending on where they're located. In my stomach, they're called rugae. In my small intestine, they're called plica circularis, and so on and so forth. So see these folds right here? That's rugae. It allows me to eat 24 chicken wings, 2.5 pizzas, and not burst. Because my stomach can stretch and hold 24 chicken wings and 2.5 pizzas because I have all this rugae.
Is that an exact amount?
No, I've never actually, I don't know if I've ever eaten that much in it or not. I've never been in one of those contests. You hear those contests, 150 hot dogs. Guy from Harrisville won some. What did Octor win? Hot dog eating or something like that?
Probably, but he's a big guy.
Yeah, he won some contest, and I'm telling you, I can't believe what he ate. Anyway, that's rugae. Pyloric sphincter. Now, this sits like this, and I have a sphincter between my stomach and my duodenum. Because when I have food in my stomach, I don't want to push it all into my duodenum. In fact, the duodenum is only about 10 centimeters long. It's not that long. It can't even hold all the food that the stomach can hold. So I better just send spurts of food. We call it chyme at this point. But I better only send spurts of chyme into my duodenum. How do I do that? No problem. I have this pyloric sphincter right here. It's blue on this model. It's that blue circular muscle right there. That's called the pyloric sphincter. And certain hormones tell that to relax, and we send food into our duodenum. And other hormones tell that to contract, and we don't send food into the duodenum.
H. pylori.
Okay, now there's a bacteria that a lot of us have in our stomach, or I don't know if a lot of us have it, but some of us have it. It's called Helicobacter pylori. It's not because we find it on the pyloric sphincter. It's just because we find it in the pyloric stomach and stuff like that.
Didn't they recently find out that causes ulcers?
Yeah,
'Cause the guy
70%
swallowed
of
it.
ulcers are caused by H. pylori. Yeah. Okay,
Drank it.
pancreas. This is the pancreas right here. This salmon or peach colored. Oh, you had to learn it for the endocrine system anyway. You guys know the pancreas. Yeah, you know the pancreas. But now I'm going to teach you some ducts inside the pancreas. This is a main duct right here. Whoops. Actually, this is tricky. The main duct is the duct that comes down and does a little curlicue. The main duct is this 332 right here. It comes from the back, comes down, and does a little curlicue and keeps going. That's the main duct. That's called the pancreatic duct. Well, what's this other duct that kind of keeps going straight? That's called the accessory duct. So let me give you numbers so you're looking. The accessory duct is 333, and the pancreatic duct is 332. Pancreatic duct is 332, and the accessory duct is 333. The bicarb and the enzymes that the pancreas secretes into my duodenum comes through both ducts. Now, where these... Am I there yet? Any questions about that? Now I got the duodenum. My duodenum is only about this long, from my thumb to my pointer finger. It's this right here. This is the duodenum, or duodenum. The correct Latin pronunciation is duodenum.
Okay.
My professor, Dr. Chan, said duodenum all the time, so I have a bad habit. The correct Latin pronunciation is duodenum. That's how you would say it if you were living.
I'm going to say every teacher I've ever heard has always said duodenum.
Yeah, but the correct pronunciation is duodenum, just so you know. I'm trying to do it correctly. I'm not trying to pass on my bad habits. Okay, inside the duodenum, I have these duodenal papilla. They're the openings of the pancreatic duct and the accessory duct. Now what I'm going to do is look in there and look at the numbers, and then Andrea and Kendall can come over and zoom in on these numbers. There's two little puckered areas, they're not really holes, but they're two little puckered areas. They are the duodenal papilla. The bottom one is the major duodenal papilla. That's the pancreatic duct, where the pancreatic duct empties. And the top one is the minor duodenal papilla, where the accessory duct empties. All right, write this down. This ain't gonna be good. I can barely see it with my glasses on. The major duodenal papilla is 335. The minor duodenal papilla is 336. Here and here. You guys can zoom in on that. So right in here. Zoom right in. 335 was the major duodenal papilla. And
I was so close.
336 was the minor duodenal papilla. The major duodenal papilla.
So the reverse, like the minor
Minor's on top and the major's on the bottom.
Do they call them major or minor just because of?
Size, not
Size.
not location. Remember back in 203, the zygomaticus major was underneath the zygomaticus minor. So remember that, yeah. So minor and major don't mean location; they mean size. Okay, next. Oh, where are we?
You skipped liver.
Oh, I skipped the liver. Oh, I don't know how I did that. Here